What's up, guys? This is Iron Aftercare with Greg, and today I want to talk about the number one thing that helped me stay happy in early sobriety. So, when I was first starting to get sober, like early on in my sobriety, I had so many things that I wanted to achieve, as I talked about before. Is that all of a sudden, depending upon what age you end up getting sober, you find in like your mid 20s or your late 20s or 30s. For me, it was my mid 20s where you realize that you're starting at like square zero, like ground zero, like there's nothing. You have no money, you have nothing. And you start to see some of the people that you grew up with, you start to see other people in your age group and everything that they've achieved. Some of them have been married, some of them have bought houses already, some of them have been financially successful, all things across the board, and you start comparing yourself to them. So for me, I had a lot of goals that I wanted to get to. And I was having a really hard time with depression and being sad every day. Like getting into that mentality of like, once I have like a good job, that I'm going to be happy, or once I have a place to live, I get an apartment, that I'm going to be happy. I really wanted to get in shape. I still wanted to lose some weight. I wanted to be muscular. I wanted abs. And I was like, once I achieve those abs, once I achieve, the muscular physique, then I'm going to be happy. And it took me a while to like realize that, when you set those goals for yourself, which is awesome, if you're waiting for those goals to happen for you to be happy, it's going to be a letdown every single time. And I'm happy that I learned that early on in sobriety. I watched a lot of different motivational videos. I read a lot of books, and the best advice that I was ever given would be to reward yourself for the small wins throughout the day. And it's something that I push a lot now. It's not just about like me getting sober, it's for like all aspects of my life. Now that I've been like 11 years sober, I still have goals. I still have things that like I want to achieve. Sobriety, like getting sober, is so far on the back burner that I have other challenges and things that I have to do these days. And comparing myself to others at this point in my life, where like now I'm in my mid 30s, I see other people that I went to school with, that I used to work with, that have like these cars, or they have these houses, or they have all this stuff. And sometimes that kind of like gets me down. Sometimes I get like, sad about it, where it's like, man, maybe I made the wrong move. Maybe I'm not doing enough. And you kind of get into that mindset still of, well, once I'm able to buy this and that, then I'm going to be happy. So what I do on a daily basis, when I was getting sober, and even when I'm doing now, I started rewarding myself and counting up wins for the day. So it could be whatever it may be, even the smallest task that you're doing throughout the day that's positive, that's helping you work towards that goal, those long term goals that you want. I made sure that internally in my head, I rewarded myself and I chalked that up as a win for the day. So, for example, I wanted to be muscular, I wanted to lose weight. I wanted abs. I wanted to look a certain way, and I was unhappy with the way that I looked. And when I wanted to like attain that physique, that takes years. That takes a long time. And if I had waited for a physique that I loved, I would have still been waiting to this day, because unfortunately, once you achieve one sort of physique, you're always going to want more. You're always going to want something more. It's never going to be good enough. And you're going to keep pushing towards it. And if you get in that cycle of like trying to wait for that next step to be happy, you're just going to be sad and depressed all the time. So the things that I was doing throughout the day would have been like, meal prep, or like getting my sleep in, or getting optimal amounts of water, getting my exercise in, doing my cardio. Every time I did one of these tiny little things, let's say I woke up early and I did my 20 minutes of cardio, 30 minutes of cardio, whatever. In my head, it was like a fucking Super Bowl win celebration. I had to amp myself up in my head. And I had to tell myself, like, fuck yeah, like, good job. Like, and it was this celebration of like, you can't do anything better. It's the greatest achievement in all of my life. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's the way I have to like talk to myself in my head and reward myself that keeps me on like a positive mindset and like keeps me moving forward. And that's just like dieting portions, So like I also wanted to get an apartment. I also wanted to get my driver's license back. I wanted to get a car. I wanted to do all this stuff. And obviously that's not going to happen overnight. But what did I do during the day to help me work towards doing that? So like when I had got out of jail, I was working 2 full-time jobs at the time. So even though I was making like close to like minimum wage, I was still rewarding myself every second of the day where I was at work and I was working hard. And I was reinforcing in my head, like, dude, like you're fucking killing it. You're getting after it. Like you're working towards this goal. You're going to make the money, and then this is going to lead to you having an apartment. This is going to lead to you having a car. And it was completely life changing for me. If sometimes I like make a joke where it's like, if anybody could be inside my head and like listen to what I'm doing like throughout the day and how I'm rewarding myself, like people would just think I was like the cockiest motherfucker on the planet. Like you're so full of yourself. And I think for like a positive mindset, to stay positive and to stay happy, like you have to be cocky towards yourself, like internally, like don't externally let it show. But internally, inside my head, I'm my biggest fan. I'm always cheering myself on. Every time that I do something good, even the smallest little thing where I chose to drink a bottle of water over grabbing a soda, or I chose to have a healthy snack over, grabbing something that was maybe like easier to eat, but like unhealthy. I didn't feel good today. I didn't get a lot of sleep, but I still went to work. I didn't call in. I didn't leave work, and people have off days at work. There's days where like I don't get a lot of sleep. I'm not motivated to work hard at work, but I see the long goal that I want to achieve. And if I'm not doing everything that I can at this moment throughout the day and trying to work towards that, that's where like my negative energy comes from. And that what starts to put me into a depression. So no matter what I'm doing, I just try to do it to the best of my ability. I try to work as hard as I can. And when I do that, like I said, it's like a fucking Super Bowl win celebration in my head. I don't know. If you guys have any like different tips and tricks for like yourself to stay, where you find happiness on a daily basis, like drop them in the comments. I'm always curious, like I've heard a lot of different things before and like trying to stay focused and trying to stay like in a positive mindset throughout the day. And I feel like a lot of people don't give themselves credit for, you know, things that they're doing throughout the day that are like working towards their success. Like some people can't see like the long-term goal. Like your long-term goal might be 5 years out, but how are you going to stay motivated for that amount of time? How are you going to be able to just keep up, getting up every morning, with nothing to show for it? Like I'm dieting, I'm working, I'm doing all this stuff, but the money isn't going up in my bank account. The weight's not coming off of my body. How are you going to stay motivated day after day when you don't see those quick results? And the answer is rewarding yourself for the little things you're doing towards working towards them. That's the key to it. It's the key to all of my happiness in my life. So if I could say one thing, it would be acknowledge the things you're doing throughout the day that are setting you on a positive path for a long-term goal, and talk to yourself positively. Reward yourself. You do something good, you wake up, you make your bed, you drink water, you eat a healthy meal, you go to work and you work your fucking ass off. Reward yourself internally. Let yourself know how fucking happy you are of yourself for doing this, because you're doing the things throughout the day that are going to get you to that long-term goal. I love all you guys. If you guys ever need anything, comment down below, send me a message. If you guys like the content, please subscribe, like. I love you guys. I'm out.